You're wondering why we're looking at 3 dictionaries stacked on top of each other. It's because I want to talk about the evolution of a word, and that word is narrative. You've been hearing it in the news a lot lately. Just about every reporter who speaks words out of their mouth says the word narrative. So I thought it would be a good idea to look back and see what historically the word narrative meant. So we're going to start with a dictionary from 1965 and see what it says narrative means. Narrative is an adjective. It means in story form or concerned with narration, a story account, a tale. The art or practice of relating stories or accounts. This is the 1965 Webster's Dictionary. Now this dictionary is from 1973. Let's see what it says. Narrative. Something that is narrated. A story. The art or practice of narration. Okay. That seems about the same. This dictionary is from 1991. Let's see what it says. Now, narrative in this dictionary doesn't have its own entry. It's under narrate. Narration, an account, a tale, a detailed account of events. Narrative, a detailed account of events. Pertinent to, containing, narration. Okay, hadn't changed much. About the same. So, I don't have a 2019 dictionary, so I went online to Webster's webpage, Merriam-Webster. Here we have the definition of narrative from Merriam-Webster. Something that is narrated, a story or an account. Well, that's about the same, but look at definition B. A way of presenting or understanding a situation or series of events that it reflects and promotes a particular point of view or set of values. Well, that's different. When did that come into Merriam-Webster's dictionary, I wonder? I don't know, because I don't have copies from 93 to 2019. All I know is that until recently, the term framing the narrative was used almost exclusively in reference to writing a novel or a work of fiction. The act of framing the narrative in politics has actually been going on for a while. They weren't reporting on it, they weren't calling it that, but that's what they've been doing. Have you ever tried to have a rational discussion with a pro-choice advocate? While you try to point out that the baby growing inside of them is a life, they don pussy hats and yell, "My body, my choice," and "Hands off my uterus." That's framing the narrative. That's avoiding and ignoring the actual argument and framing it in a way that is pleasing to them, that helps push forward their agenda. But the scariest thing is that recently the term has been creeping into journalism. It seems like you can't watch a news report these days without hearing the word narrative at least once. I recently watched a YouTube article by Epoch Times by Gina Shakespeare, where she referenced the Associated Press's Washington bureau chief from 2008 calling for journalists to practice what he called accountability journalism. And that sounds really good on the surface, but what he was actually calling for was that journalists should not just report the news but shape the narrative. As far as I know, that used to be considered ethical malpractice. Now it's become the expected norm. So all I can say is pay close attention to the next news report you hear. Count the times you hear the word narrative and let me know what you think. There's my notes. I wrote them myself. I read part of what I just said. Yes, it's true.